Hey YouTubers, this is old John. It's January 4th, probably the middle of the day here in Missouri. I'm going to do an update on the North American Craton quakes and maybe a quick overview of world quakes. Kind of ending the year and starting the new year. I'm going to do it for the past 7 days, which ends the 2014 year and gets into the 2015. It's been kind of an interesting week on the Craton, mainly going on to the west side. If you remember, the Craton goes up into Canada, over to the west through Alaska, down through the western United States of Idaho, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, down through Texas, over through the Gulf states, up through Pennsylvania, New York, New England, back up through Canada, and even up through Greenland. So it's a pretty expansive area, and has had quite a bit of activity, like I say, on the west side. Right now I'm only showing a quake that just happened in Western California, but let's go back 7 days and see what's happened. So, and I've indicated on here the New Madrid area, which runs along the Mississippi River between Missouri, Illinois, and Tennessee, Kentucky, and then Yellowstone over here in the northwest corner of Wyoming. So let's go back a day and see what's happened. So moving the slider here on the right side of the screen, which you can't see, we see several quakes occurring just south of Yellowstone in Utah, kind of in the center of the state. 2.7, 2.6, 3.7, 3.4, 4.0, which is quite pronounced. So there's a bunch of activity here near Yellowstone. Technically Yellowstone is up here, but probably the whole area circulates around in there. Now we've had some standard quakes in Oklahoma here, 3, 2.9, 2.6. Those may be related to fracking. They're also up into the southern part of Kansas, which I think it's claimed there's fracking going there and there too. So the jury's still out for sure whether that's fracking, partially, totally. They've got more seismographs there. They're studying it. They have a concern. And then over here to the west of Yellowstone, we have in northwest Nevada a bunch of quakes. Now, could these be influenced by what's been going over in California? So let's back up a little bit and see what's in California. Here's a 4.3, 3.0, 2.5. But if we go back a couple days, there's 2 days. Let's go 3. And on the 4th day, there was a 5.3. Let me turn the rings on here so you can see here. The bigger the ring, the more magnitude of the quake, obviously. And it occurred off the coast, but after it happened, it seemed like there was an increase in quakes along the Craton to the east of it. And if you go back in time to today, you see the quakes popping up more, I think. Let's turn the rings off again. But going back 3 days, then 4. So the quakes here in Utah Yeah, and there was actually one here, up here in, that would be, I guess, Washington, 2.6. So, but it seemed like they started to really increase after the 5.3 quake off the coast of California. We also had a couple quakes down here in kind of northwest Texas. Now, I think it's been claimed there's some fracking going on there, but see, that's close to the Craton. Here's the Craton here, this black line. And all these quakes you can see are just on the inside edge of the Craton. Now we have nothing over here on the east side, not even up in Greenland, Canada. So it's all being kind of isolated to the west side here. So California residents, I think, need to be worrying here a little bit, maybe being a little more attuned and watching out, because there's a lot of pressure on this side. As far as let's go on back 7 days ago. There's 5, 6, and 7, and there's really not that much going on the south side. Down in Mexico, there's a few 4s. Here on the southeast side of the Ring of Fire, there's a couple 4s over here, and oops, I'm going the wrong way here. Over here in South America, there's a bunch of small ones, but and a 5 and some 4s, but not quite that much that we've seen. Let's go over and look at the southwest side. Let's reduce our size a little bit here. This whole area is the Ring of Fire, and if you look over here on the southwest side, between Australia, Filipino, Japan, there have been 4s and 5s, but there was, let's see, somewhere on the southwest, oh yeah, around Filipino there was a 6.2, and that was 6 days ago. So it seemed like there was pressure building about 6 days ago, and perhaps that has transferred across to the east side of the Ring of Fire, affecting the San Andreas Fault, which runs along here. Everyone's familiar with that. And then maybe pushing over to the Craton, because that 5.3 I think shows there was pressure being put on. Now Dutch Sense, Mike Janisch, he contends that these quakes here in I think it's Nevada, let's dial it back here a little bit, get rid of some of these other quakes that are cluttering up, but some of these quakes here in northwest Nevada may be where there's an old volcano, and it could be relieving pressure, because the theory is as the plates slide on top of and under each other and beside each other, the pressure sometimes is relieved through volcanic areas, either old or new volcanic areas. It'd be kind of like ice pushing against each other and water bubbling up through cracks in the ice. It'd be kind of an analogy you could use. So anyway, let's cap it off here, but I would say there's been more activity, especially on the western side of the North American Craton for this past week. 3 days here in the new year and 3 and 4 days ending 2014. So there again, you people on the western side of the United States, be wary here, because who knows, you could have some larger quakes. Only God knows. And if you're interested in more information on earthquakes, go to my channel or my some of my videos. I'll leave that at the end of the video and below the video if you're interested. The good book says that as we get closer to the Lord's return, there may be an increase in earthquakes throughout the world, but even in places they don't normally occur. And speaking of throughout the world, let's do a real quick spin around the world and see all the quakes that are occurring. We looked at the Ring of Fire. There's been, like I said, tons of quakes on the southwest side, which may be pushing over to the U.S. There have been some moderate activity in the middle of the Eurasian plate, 4s and so forth in Turkey, kind of typical. Some 5s in the Arabian plate. Those are picking up a little bit. Some 4s in Europe. A 5 down here in Africa, 5.2. Bunches of quakes that are typical here, Panama area. Those are related to volcanic activity possibly. But anyway, so it's been a pretty interesting year. I'll be doing a recap of all the earthquakes for the whole year here shortly, and I'll make a separate video on that and put it on my website also. So it was an interesting year, and 2015 with the blood red moons and so forth coming up, it could be an interesting 2015. Only the Lord knows. So, Old John signing out.